Welcome to Who's Really the Boss podcast. I'm Rachel Dillon, and along with my husband, Marcus Dillon, we share the joys and challenges of leading a $3 million accounting firm together. From team structure to growth strategies, we share our leadership successes and failures so you can avoid the mistakes we have made and grow a valuable accounting firm. Welcome back to another episode of Who's Really the Boss podcast. We have Marcus with us today.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
And we have special guests with us from Hodges and Hergenrader, business advisors and tax accountants, Gwen and Anna. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate being here.
Yep. Happy to be here.
Well, hey, it looks like both of y'all are in different locations, similar to Rachel and me. You know, we're actually in one location, but in different windows. So give us a little bit of background about the firm, share just what you feel called to, and love the fact that y'all are in different locations. So maybe some of that can be shared as well.
Sure. So a little history of our firm is we started Hodges and Hergenrader in October of 2023. Anna and I had worked together for 20 plus years and decided to venture out on our own. When we did that, she lives in Wilmington and I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so we decided to have two offices. So we jumped off and got two offices in addition to starting a firm. So that was a big jump there.
We're all or nothing kind of people, evidently.
Great.
Evidently.
Yeah.
And Gwen, give a little bit of background on just you and even your family outside of the office.
Sure. So I am local to North Carolina. I grew up in Eastern North Carolina. Went to Meredith College, so here in Raleigh. Have lived in Raleigh my entire adult life, and I have three children. I have a 22-year-old daughter who's now a teacher. I have a 20-year-old son who is starting his career right this minute, and I have a 15-year-old son that is trying to finish freshman year of high school.
I love it.
So yeah, I love NC State football games and Disney World and traveling. So that's a little bit about me.
All right, Anna, you're up.
My turn. So we're in Wilmington, and that's close to Wrightsville Beach. We're just across the bridge from Wrightsville Beach. So, and the office, we bought a office condo, and it's also just right across the bridge from Wrightsville Beach. So it's not a terrible place to be. It's a lot of fun. But Gwen and I are we're just 2 hours away. So we do see each other every few weeks or so. Probably we'd like to see each other and be around each other, work together a lot more in person than we actually get to. But we do 2 hours. I mean, that's some people's commute in larger cities. So, yeah, so we're not too terribly far apart, but I was actually born in Raleigh, but grew up kind of navigated up and down from Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and just love the beach. But I grew up in Georgia, really, went to high school there. And then I went to Campbell University, which is in North Carolina, and then Raleigh, where Gwen and I worked together for a long time. So we were with the firm that we were both with, I was there 20 years. She was there 30 years. And I believe she might have hired me. I can't remember, but she did. She might have hired me. And her daughter that is now a teacher, I don't know why it sticks in my mind, but I remember going to her house and holding Jenna when she was born. So we've known each other and we've known each other for a really long time. So, yeah. We're pretty sure we enjoy each other. We can tolerate all the good and all the bad. There are no secrets and there are no hidden things. They're all out there.
Well, that's recommended for partners, right? You know, it's like
all types.
Each other's strengths and weaknesses. So.
And Anna, do you have kiddos as well?
I do. I'm all in the teenage mix. I have a 12-year-old daughter that is going into, her awards were today. She's going into 7th grade. And then my oldest son is a freshman in high school, and he and Gwen's youngest are within 6 months exactly of each other. So we get to share funny teenage boy and girl stories. I pray for patience, and she tells me that my daughter's going to make it and it's going to be okay. So there's that too. Yep. And my wonderful, fabulous husband that has helped us along the way. with all things. It was probably all three of us in the boat doing a lot of this stuff. So yes, he's in sales and travels, and of course he's not around for the last week of school. So
All right. Well, we just talked about teenagers. So let's move straight into best pieces of advice you guys have ever received. And I did give you a little bit of prep work ahead of recording, but I do really think this is probably the hardest thing to prepare, because I'm sure we all have received a lot of advice over the years. So your advice doesn't have to relate to raising teenagers, but let's have you start, Gwen. Best piece of advice you've ever received.
Sure. These two is two kind of things that go together, but the first one is just trust your gut. That's if you can trust your gut, you're good. And then get out of your comfort zone, which is something that this is doing, because this is our first endeavor with a podcast. So get out of your comfort zone and trust your gut. Those are two things that I live by now.
those are good.
Good. All right, Anna.
I was
how about
wondering
you?
what she was gonna use. So that's a good one. Mine's easy. It came when you said it yesterday. It came immediately to mind. My grandmother. It was 25 years ago, and she was in her late 80s, and we were getting kind of close to the end, and I went and got to spend a weekend with her, which was all. I was in Georgia at the time, and she was in North Carolina, and I got to spend the weekend with her, and we just watched movies, and I remember her patting me on the hand and said, "Sweetheart, you are the captain of your own boat. You're in charge. And if you look up and don't love where you are, it's your fault. And if you want to head someplace else, it's only up to you." So, and that just about applies to everything in life. So it's a good one.
It's amazing. We've asked that question of plenty of people that have been on the podcast, and it's always really cool to see like previous generations, the advice that they give that then lives on, and you'll probably tell that to your kids and your grandkids and everything like that. So it's just amazing how those live on. So but love what you've already shared, and love the fact that 30 years at a firm, 20 years with a firm. So I'm sure we're going to pull out some of the trust your gut, you're a captain of your own ship over this conversation to talk about what it looks like and the firm that you currently have built. So Rachel, I don't want to jump in or jump the ahead too far, but what do we got next?
Yeah, so I would love to hear some details. We have almost all accountants listening to this podcast. And so I think probably some ears perked up of starting a firm after very successful long careers, and starting a firm, really, if you think about it, not that long ago. So I think you guys said October 2023.
That's right.
Yes. And we're recording now in June of 2025. So not even 2 full years. So share some of just an overview of what the firm looks like today. And you guys can fight over who wants to share what first.
We mentioned before that we have 2 offices. We currently have 5 staff members, so we have 7 people total, including Anna and myself. We service typically small to medium-sized businesses, probably like many of your listeners. We are working with them doing bookkeeping, payroll, tax returns, and advisory services. And so we are sort of doing different than we had done in our traditional firm that we were at. We saw a need for clients who wanted to actually like thirsted for more help. And so that's the clientele that we're helping, is those folks that are thirsting, for more. So that's kind of our ideal client and our services that we offer. And
We also kind of what our last firm did a decent amount of assurance work, but what we were noticing is that less and less clients, even the ones with bonded jobs and large revenue amounts, just weren't needing those services so much anymore. And even if they were, the ones that were needing those, we were so involved in their day-to-day accounting, that we likely weren't very independent any longer. So the main and we were able to help them with the things that Gwen and I enjoy doing more, with the tax planning and the preparation and stuff, that it really, we've found, other CPA firms that we put together all of the information, and they run the programs, and they do, they give their opinions on it. But we probably have a handful of those that even need those any longer. But the things that we have always enjoyed so much with our clients is the day-to-day stuff, answering the questions and helping them with the things that they need in June and August, and that we're drawn to. And I love tax returns. I don't love individual returns. I'll be really honest, but I love higher level entity returns, partnership returns, S corporations. Those are, I mean, everybody has a favorite. Those are mine. So
The puzzle, if you
yes,
will, right?
Yes.
I think it's really cool, and sharing some of the things that obviously we hear from other people about you. One of the phrases that it keeps coming up is "they're killing it," and one of those things that I'd love for you to share is the growth trajectory from October of 23 to today, June of 25, right? So less than 2 years. What does killing it look like? And hopefully it's a good, killing it versus like the negative. So
Well, Gwen and I talked this morning because no one likes to, you just don't want, I am very careful about being boastful.
Sure.
When you start saying it, it makes me really nervous. I knock on wood before I say anything, but I said, let's make sure that we're right with these numbers. Because if that's not those are just facts. So,
Yep.
and then I thought, Marcus and Rachel are going to think we're insane when we tell them we've brought on 177 clients since we started October of 23, new clients. And those
Yep.
are not clients that we'd worked with previously. So, and then Gwen, I think our revenue number better.
Yeah, I think it's $1,760,000. So right under $1,800,000 is our revenue for 12 months as of April 30th.
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
And we're proud of that. So,
Yeah.
and
You
we are
should
not,
be proud of that. And that is not boastful at all. That is
Yeah.
hard work that we'll probably get into real quickly about what that looked like to start and to literally run with it from the minute that you guys made the decision and then started. So yeah, congratulations to both of you. That is incredible. Anna and Gwen, when we were talking just a couple of days ago, you were just saying, that there is plenty of work for all of us who are in this industry. We all have different experiences. We all have different interests. We all have different services that we offer. And even for those of us who are so similar, there are still plenty of small business clients and clients who are looking for the things that we can provide. So I love that is just the mindset out there that you guys have, that it is not, we are not limited on prospects for our businesses. We are only limited by, kind of what we set up and have the capacity to do.
True.
And I'll just echo congratulations, ladies. I mean, that is impressive. And what seems to be working really well? I mean, 177 relationships. I'm just going to round up because I like to do that. 2 million in revenue. I'm going to just put you there. And that's where it's like, what seems to be working really well? And I assume you're selective in who you work with too.
We are. I mean, we're selective in who we work with today more than we used to be, pre Hodges and Hergenrader. So today it's just clients who want those monthly services, not someone who just needs a tax return done. So from that perspective, we are very selective in who we work with. And we have clients that are historical clients. So we've worked with some of those 20 and 30 years that are working with us that we would love to convert to that monthly revenue model, just because we feel like it's so crucial for their business. And so
Yeah.
we're trying to get our firm set up in a way that our processes are in place. We've just started a relationship with Keeper to help us with those monthly relationships, and we're excited to get that on board and going. So we know that that's a big part of being able to service those clients.
No, that's great. And the even what's impressive, from seeing a lot of firms and running firms, is 2 million, and I'm giving you that. I'm speaking the future truth, right? But with 7 total team members, including the two of you, so that's impressive alone as well. Have you have you been able to find talent, find great people? Where have you what resources have you tapped to build that team that really is serving those clients today?
This might be a tricky one for us to answer.
Well, I
I don't
mean,
want to get you
I
in
think,
hot water
yeah.
either. Like if this is going to issue some legal ramifications, don't answer.
No, I think two, three, a handful of the staff members that are with us came from our last firm.
Yeah.
We had worked with them for a long time. Gwen and I, well, I can talk for myself, but I think Gwen as well. We have an aversion to just advertising for a job and going through resumes and that type of stuff. We have found that what's better for us is finding people. Our very first hire she was cybersecurity, but she was the daughter of a friend of mine or someone that I knew that I've become friends with. And honestly, and Gwen and we call it our first retreat. We were sitting at my dining room table. She spent the weekend at my house, and we sat at the dining room table and did just about everything we needed to do. And our staff member came by. Like I said, we needed someone that we could trust. It was all of our clients' tax returns, all of our clients' information, everything. And I thought this has to be someone that we are certain can protect our interest and that type of thing. So we tend to go off of, and we tend to hire from people that we know, people that are referred over to us, that type of thing. I don't know that we've ever even
The one time we
just
did it, it didn't
advertised
work.
for. Yes,
The one
yes,
time we did it, it didn't quite work. So
yes.
How long until you found out that it wasn't going to work? How many days or weeks did they make it?
well, they made it 4 months.
4 months. Okay.
Yeah.
But when did you know? Talking about trust your gut, and when did you know?
I mean, I hate to say probably 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean,
that's
One
good.
thing that has been so great about our team is everyone fits. I've always kind of thought if everybody can travel together and everybody, if you can go places and you have a good time personally, then that also carries over a lot into the office. So we've
Yeah.
always thought, if we can be together in big groups and we enjoy being together and we can go places and do education, training, things like that, then it's usually a pretty good fit. So we've been
Yeah.
lucky in that respect.
Do you want to hang out by the pool with this person, right? Or at the beach with this person?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which we did. We had a retreat
Yeah.
down here in Wilmington, and we stayed at a hotel over on the beach. Even the other staff member, her name is Ryan, and she
Yeah.
wouldn't mind me saying, but she lives in Wilmington, and she and I both stayed at the hotel right across. I mean, I was a mile and a half from the house, and we
Yeah.
sat at the beach, and we had the best time.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah. So I think that's where it starts.
Oh yeah. Are those 5? Do they work in some of the offices alongside the two of you, or do people remote? How does that set up?
we have a hybrid setup. So actually, Ryan is the only person that's in Wilmington with Anna. and the other
Mhm.
folks are here in Raleigh. And so we have asked them, how would they like to work? And so they choose. And so we have a couple of part-time people, one that works strictly in the office, and the other ones have chosen days of the week that work for them to be in office or out of the office. So we feel like, we want to give them the autonomy to set their schedules. And so that's what has worked best for them and worked well for us too.
No, that's great. I mean, I think, it just the flexibility is what's going to win. And we're seeing a push with RTO and people doing different mandates, right? And that's not going to end well, at
Yes.
least in my opinion. So y'all are definitely doing the right thing by asking the team members what they prefer.
I think, when someone has done public accounting for long enough, it doesn't matter if they work 20 hours a week or 50 hours a week, or if they're remote or where, if someone's if someone's good at their job, they're going to get their work done. And I always just find if they're happier and can do the things that they feel like they need to do with a better balance, I mean, it's just long term that's what's best for everybody involved.
Oh, sure.
I love that. I want to go back to the early days of the firm.
The
which
dining
were
room table.
all that long ago. I want to go back to the dining room table. From the dining room table, what did it look like? What were some of the initial things that you guys kind of did to get you to where you are now? Like, I think that is probably where you guys started and really set yourselves up for success, was at that dining room table and the months thereafter.
Yeah.
Gwen is a notebook queen. If you go anywhere close to Gwen has 33 binder notebooks with dividers, and she is a logistical champion. So that dining room table was laptops and notebooks.
There definitely was a notebook for that.
Yes.
And we worked with actually an advisor that you guys have on your team that was able to help us a lot with the setup. So that was one thing that we really appreciated, was being able to have that setup help. What is it that we need to be thinking about? And so one of the big things, of course, was software, because that's something that it being an accounting firm, you can't thrive if you don't have the correct software.
So what were some of those big rock softwares that y'all landed with? Just stuff that you had used before and felt comfortable with?
Yeah, mostly it was. So Thomson Reuters. So we use UltraTax. We use their fixed assets program, and we use their work papers programs. And then we started Canopy. So we had not had a good project management software that we had used previously that we really liked. So when we had this introduction to Canopy, we just thought this would be great. And so we use it for our workflow management. We use it for billing. We use it for files, like portal access for the clients. And we have really enjoyed using it. And the clients seem to really like it as well. And then most of our clients are on QBO, and we use Microsoft products.
Yeah. So very similar stack, something that we're familiar with. And how, with that stack, let's say, how have the clients that you served in a previous life, how have they adapted to your new way of working?
Well, some of them have. Some of them we have tried to keep very similar to what they were used to. Everybody seemed to really like Canopy. So when it comes to them transferring information to us, that was something that, we just communicated to them. Ryan helped us do that via email. Here's what we're rolling out. Here's, how to set up. And she kind of managed that setup for our clients so that it was seamless for them. But that was kind of the biggest thing that was different for them.
Yeah. Client facing.
We did one of the key things for us that one of your advisors recommended to us was Infinitely Virtual for our cloud platform. So they are our IT provider. They handle all of our computer setups. They help us with our WISP, all of our internet security, and they are our cloud. And we don't have anything server based. Everything is in the cloud, and they have been wonderful. And that came from you guys. So from one
That's
of your
great. Yeah.
advisors. Yeah. Because that was one of our biggest stumbling blocks is when we cut over and are us, we have to work that day. So,
Yeah.
so that was
Yeah.
huge. That was really big for us.
Well, I think the other thing there is with multiple locations or even a remote team, like, hey, who's got the server? Who's got the box, right? And
Mm-hmm.
does that house have a generator on it in case there's, a hurricane or whoever knows what's coming our way? So I think that's a smart call. And especially with a team of 7, makes a lot of sense for you to be able to scale and add new team members that way. So good call.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of change for us and for our clients. And so we tried to minimize the change on the clients when we were moving everything over. But also, honestly, it feels like COVID was a very long time, COVID was a long time ago, but it really doesn't feel like it was that long ago. And I think that our industry was so impacted by COVID, and we had to be everything to all of our clients. So PPP loans, employee retention credits, all of the SBA loans, the EIDL stuff. All of a sudden a client that usually needed you this amount of time, now they need you 3 times the amount of time. Everything was just so chaotic for so long that and still in North Carolina, we're still on an extended deadline. We haven't had a real tax deadline in 5 years. I mean, we're still, our 2023 returns aren't due until September the 25th of this year. So, if we ever get back to April the 15th, I don't know, this may be a completely different podcast, but
Well, you gotta love those extended deadlines, right? And it's just,
yes,
people, once they know, and they're not motivated,
right.
like they are with a deadline. So, prayer for y'all. I think that's one of those things, like it'll eventually get there where it'll all work out, and hopefully one day it will. So
Another thing that we found too, when we were trying to kind of, I guess say normalize our client base, was we found a really good CPA that had been in business for a long time that, thank goodness, was taking on individual clients. So we really didn't have to tell anybody, you need to go find someone. We were really able to refer people and make sure that people had someone to take care of them and that type of thing. We didn't want to put anybody in that situation. And she has been fabulous and very helpful in that respect. So that's nice too, to have other professionals that everybody wants to help, and someone can benefit from something that someone else can't do any longer. It's a big deal.
Yeah. And that's been a part of our story as well. Just knowing your peers, whether they're down the street, same office building, towns over, because their ideal client may look completely different than your ideal client, and you can share in that together and help each other out. So I think that's great. The legacy firms that we grew up in, right, and kind of cut our teeth in, they would say yes to anything. And it was, it was just this mindset of, I've got CPA, EA, MBA after my name, whatever that is, and I can do anything, right? And it's a different world now. And so
Can't do
I applaud
everything
y'all.
well. Yeah.
No,
Can't do
exactly. You can
everything
do
well.
anything.
I know that.
Yeah, you can do anything you want, but it's one of those where your time is more precious than you know. So
Yeah.
All right. After software decisions were made, what do you think were kind of the next biggest steps that you guys took to kind of get the ball rolling and get the doors opened and functioning as a legit accounting firm?
It was important to us to have a presence, to have an office. So that was one of the things that was very high up on the list, was to have a location that we could work from. A lot of our clients were clients that are local, that, like to come in and drop off information, that kind of thing. So we thought that was important. It was important. It turned out being important to a few of them. So that was one of the things, as we went sort of searching for office space, and we were able to find a space that, and we actually worked out a really good deal where they allowed us to have what they called a swing space, a temporary space we were in there for maybe 6 months, while they were constructing the space that we're currently in here in Raleigh, which I served as the construction manager for this space.
In January and February, and she was doing, she was doing wiring and cabling, and she would say, "Can I talk to you about this?" And she'd say something. I said, "I have no idea what you just said. I don't know what cabling is, but it
Yeah.
sounds really important, really, really important."
I had learned about it that morning.
Yeah.
Yep.
So having the structure for our team to have a place to be, for us to be able to work, was our next biggest kind of hurdle. So
No, it's great.
we feel lucky with where we wound up, and we feel happy with the space that we have now.
It's great.
And then we went to, I don't know if you want to tell the story of, that was the Raleigh space. So I don't know if you want to tell the story of the Wilmington space, Anna, and how that came about.
So with the firm that we were with before, I had been in Wilmington for a while, just kind of on my own. And I was leasing a space because my husband works from home, so I cannot work from home as well. So I was leasing a space, and I knew I needed more room for, I needed some help. So we looked around for a couple of offices, and I thought, Wilmington is just, what COVID did too is it moved a lot of people from the Northeast down to the Southeast. And so Wilmington blew up, and just space, leasing, everything became just non-existent. So we stumbled into a space that was for sale. And so Gwen says, my husband says, we bought a zoo. we bought an office space as well. So we kind of redid that office space, and we've got 2 offices there, a lobby and a conference room. So more space for us there. And we did both 2 spaces and tax season. And
Yeah.
I mean, I laugh because you have to laugh to keep from crying. But yeah, we're still alive, so we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did Gwen come over and help with the low voltage wiring that was needed in Wilmington?
Well,
We got somebody to help locally there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We actually, though, we have sent contractors back and forth for different things between Raleigh and Wilmington, and they're like, I'll go to Wilmington. So
Yeah.
Gwen's like, so-and-so will be there at so-and-so time. And so we have shared in the, yes, we try for both of us not to learn how to do the same thing.
Sure.
And I've kind of said, we're lucky in that we really care a lot about each other and get along really well, but we don't enjoy doing the same things, which is great, because the things that she enjoys, I don't enjoy, and vice versa, which is, I don't know, it's probably why we get along so well, because she'll say, I do not want to do this. I'm like, oh, I'll do that. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
Yeah. And it was important for us too that both offices, if a client went into either office, they had the same feel. So that was another thing.
Right.
Like, our furniture is the same, our colors are the same, that kind of thing. So we wanted the same feel, the same, logos, all of that kind of stuff. So we wanted it to be cohesive and not separate.
Yeah.
That was important.
Everything on brand, right?
That's right.
It just has the same feel for
That's
sure.
right.
That's right.
That's right. We wanted to do it first class from the beginning, because we are first class.
You are.
I told
And I
her.
think it's something to be proud of too, right? I mean, it's your name, it's your initials on the door, and you show up there way more than a client does. So you want to enjoy it too, and you want to be somewhere that's nice. So I get that completely.
Yeah.
Exactly. I said a lot. I don't want to limp through this. Like I don't want to limp through this and fix it later. Let's just do it. Let's do it right the first time and make sure that we've done it all the way. And it might take a little bit more, but we'll get back above water again. And I do feel like we're there finally. I think that she and I both have been able to say, I feel like I can breathe again. Yeah. Which is a pretty strong statement.
Yeah. Well, y'all, the race that you've run so far has been impressive for sure. So I know that there is a lot to be proud of with the firm that y'all built, and I may be jumping ahead, Rachel, so I apologize. Whenever I started what is now DBA, I look back in maturity to the firm that I worked in and the firm that I left, and part of me has to ask this question. So is there any empathy or anything that you now realize being on the other side that you have more empathy for the people that are still there, or those leaders that are still there, than you did when you were there, if that makes sense.
I think that we have incredibly like we've worked with people for a really long time and learned a
Yeah.
lot, and
Yeah.
it is not typical for people to be at one place in an accounting firm for 20 or 30 years.
Sure.
No one does that. So, I mean, our entire careers, were there, and we learned so much. And it is hard to run a business like this where people work so much, and so much of that time that you have with your client is within 2 and 3 months of the year. And
Yeah.
that is one of the things that I think that the doing things on a monthly basis, that type of stuff, I mean, if you do not push towards that business model, you are just looking at an eternal tax season for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
That's been huge for us, pushing to that, and listening to people that had been doing that ahead of us doing that I mean, it really is crucial. Our staff, again, you don't want to be boastful, but our staff doesn't work overtime during tax season. They don't. I mean, if they do, it's because they want to get ahead on something. It's not because, they just don't. And Gwen and I work less, just because we decided, if you're going to do this, you have to do it, and there has to be a reason behind doing it. So,
That's great.
did I answer that properly, or did I go off?
I think so. I mean, some of the things, like, I look back on, and running a business, being the sole owner of a business, maybe too, it's one of those where there's just a lot of decisions to make, and there's fatigue in that. And, from what HR issues you're dealing with, to what technology do we need to invest in, to, hey, this person just left and we need to go find their replacement. So I have a new sense of, now being on the other side and being an owner, right? There's more empathy, more maturity than I have today than I did when I was a team member on that other side. And it's just one of those things, like, I'm still very thankful for the path that led us to where we're at today, very similar to where you are. And, but at the same time, like, maybe I should have given a little more grace when I was in that team member role, is what I've learned.
Yeah. Well,
I
and
think you can
were,
never.
oh,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, we were both partners there. So we were partners at that other firm. And so we know a lot about, when people left, and when we had to hire new people, that kind of thing. So a lot of that was really close, to the belt. But, we did have what we called a family atmosphere, a family relationship with everyone there. So it was a very hard move to leave, just
Yeah.
because of the relationships. But it was something that, we had worked for so many hours for so many years, and we just wanted to do things a little differently. So it was hard to
Yeah.
do that, but it was definitely the right move for us. And it was, at the right time.
I don't think either we would have been able to navigate doing it, had we not had, your group. I mean,
Yeah.
we just you had to see that people were already doing okay, doing the things that we were trying to go to. You can't just say it
Yeah.
might work. It was so
Yeah.
much more, it just gave us a lot more confidence to see people are doing this and it is working, and they're working less and people are happier. And so there's got to be something to it. So let's learn how to do it right. And she and I both just wanted the same thing. We were very like-minded. You have to lean on technology anymore. You just have to.
Yeah.
There are less people that enjoy doing what we do. I'm worried about our industry in the future. But there again, I think that's what gives us, there's no competition. Everyone just loves everybody else that do what we do, because you're not fighting for clients any longer. It makes us better at what we do.
Yeah. No, that's great. Love the fact that you look for survivors, right? First, it's like, hey, did they live?
You look
But then
over
also,
the edge
yeah,
first before you jump.
yeah,
Make sure it's
yeah,
okay down there.
did they live? But then too, you've mentioned Christine in passing a few different times, so we definitely want to give a shout out there. And as far as a guide, what she is able to help with, and the rest of the team as well on this side. So, Rachel, I know you've got some questions specifically related to some of that, so don't want to steal those.
Yeah. Well, before, because we have shared all of the wonderful things about Hodges and Hergenrader and how much you have accomplished in such a short, what I think is a short amount of time. I know there are firms who never make it to where you are their entire careers, their entire existence. They dream about it, they think about it, they push for it, but they just don't ever quite make it. So let's go the opposite way and talk about anything that you would have done differently, from the beginning or as you were getting started. Is there anything that you can think of off the top of your head, either that if you were starting a firm today that you would do differently, or kind of that, yeah, maybe not that you wouldn't do or that you did wrong, but just that would have made things easier?
We always
I
say
think
that
we kind of,
we did everything right. We were lucky. We planned it for a long time. It wasn't a let's do this tomorrow and tomorrow we just started. It was a very planned process. So ask us that question in another year or two. I think it's too soon to know from my perspective.
I would, yeah. Gwen and I kind of talked about that, and since we're not even 2 years in, we feel like maybe we haven't learned what we did wrong yet. maybe maybe it's still coming. I certainly hope not. Certainly hope not. But we overanalyzed and analyzed and then overanalyzed again everything that we were going to do before we got to the point of actually pulling the trigger. So, in fact, at the point that we pulled the trigger, we were probably way past. We should have done it. I mean, we just, how many times can you go over the same thing? So, I think that we were so cautious and so careful, because we're starting a new firm at the time that some people retire. So, and I think that also says that we enjoy what we do. We love working with our clients. It makes us happy. The people that we work with, that makes us happy. I mean, everything that it does for our families, and we're so grateful and gracious for all of it. So we were very cautious in doing it. So I think if we made any mistakes, well, like I said, maybe we can do this podcast in a year and we can, go back to those and say, we should have said this, but we'll let you know.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I think that's so important, though, to note that you had experience. You didn't come in as a brand new, fresh out of college and just think, I'm going to conquer the world with no idea. But not only did you have your own experience and your own firms that you worked in, you had the experience of a lot of other firms as well that you were looking at and watching and learning from, that have all been so open and transparent to say, don't do this, or if I was starting over, I would have started with this. And then you, Gwen specifically, put a little playbook together of exactly all of those things of what we're not going to do, but we are going to do it this way, and just kept that going. And wow, has really set you guys up for success. So
he could fill up all of Marcus's bookshelves back there with her binders, and I promise she probably still goes to them. I mean, I know you do.
Yeah.
She's excellent with that.
Would you, I guess, two questions. First one is, if you were able to go back to your previous self, knowing everything that you did, the hard days that we've all lived through in previous firms, would you have recommended that person do it sooner?
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
And was there an event, or was it just the pain of staying the same just reached the point of the uncertainty of change? Was there something big that happened, or was it just one day y'all both came in the parking lot, looked at each other in the eye, and you're like, today's the day. We've got to make a plan. We got to put a book together.
I don't remember a day specifically that something happened, but we knew things could be different. And Anna and I went to a conference, and that was where we were kind of inspired to see that there were other people there doing what we thought we could do. And we met them and we talked to them and we could touch them, and they were open to us. So having a community of people that is willing to share that information, I think we wouldn't be where we are without a community like that, without, peers who care, knowing that we're all in this together, willing to share information.
Yeah.
So I think that was pivotal. We came back from that conference going, we can do this. We knew we could, and now we really can because other people are doing it.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm smarter than them. I can totally do this, right? Like
Marcus is doing that up there. Yeah, we
yeah.
can do it.
Oh man, like
Yeah.
that should give everybody hope, right?
Yeah.
So no, it's good.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was kind of our stepping off point.
That's good.
All right.
Yeah.
What are current goals or initiatives that you guys are working on right now?
We're trying to work on our processes and just consistencies among clients. Since we are
That's one of the things that Gwen is good at that I do not do. She'll say, Can I slow you down a little bit so we can get aligned? I'm like, oh, Gwen, come on. And and then I go back to something later and I think, I don't know how I did that. And I don't know how I did that because I don't do processes. And we have got to get those down. And Gwen, she's like, you need to slow down. We have to do this. At some point, we have to do this. And she's 100% right. So we're trying really hard to do that right now.
Yeah. So that's what we would love for our processes and consistency across clients and staff members to increase. So that's what we're doing in this improvement season, is trying to
Yeah.
do that, because we know that that's where we need to go. And especially, as we bring on new clients, we want them to be set up properly from the beginning. So that's one of the biggest things that we're trying to do, along with delegating. So trusting our staff and delegating things to our staff and just knowing that it's going to happen. But they also need that process and consistency up front from us so that it can happen the way that it needs to. So I think that's our
Right.
biggest thing we're working on right this minute.
Yeah. And the tools that we have today compared to the tools that we had 10, 20 years ago are just amazing for things like that. And y'all have done a really good job even when it comes to like the feel of your office spaces, right? So why wouldn't you want the feel of the client experience to be the very same thing, regardless of who's serving them within the brand? So that's really special.
Yeah. And letting go. I mean, we've got great staff. They're very smart. They're very capable. They're go-getters. There's no reason that we can't let go and give them those things, but we've got to get them consistent to let it go and give them those things so we can focus more on those pieces. Yeah. Easier said than done sometimes.
Well, yeah. And speaking from experience, like once the structure is built, especially if you're not the best person for that system, it's easier to hand it off to somebody else to go put it into that system than you struggle through that process. So I would just give you that encouragement, Anna. It's like sometimes handing it off for somebody that's their love language to take and go put it in that very defined box.
With Keeper, Gwen and I decided, we had our staff sit in on the meeting and they decided that they liked it. And Gwen and I said, okay, let's do it. And 2 of them are doing it. We don't even know anything about it. It's great. I said, I don't want to know how. We'll have someone in Wilmington that knows how to do it and someone in Raleigh that knows how to do it. And they're off to the races. They're already set up and we didn't even know they've got a meeting first part of next week. So it's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that.
All right. Well, let's wrap up with this. Within Collective, is there anything that has been more helpful than others? Anything that you gravitated towards or used more than something else? There's a lot available in the Collective community as far as peer groups and advisors and resources, events. What has been kind of specifically helpful or helped you guys in your firm the most?
I have really enjoyed the events. So there's the webinars that you guys do. There's been so many that I find are very, very helpful. And the one that you had this week on the cybersecurity, Ryan, she's our cybersecurity guru, and so she signed up and did that one this week. So they're not just accounting related. They're just helpful across like firm building kind of thing. We've implemented the team of three. So the team of three resources have been very helpful for us too. And then personal favorite is the in-person event, the recharge event that we went to. I mean, that was amazing. Just being able to connect with people. And one of the things we brought back was the daily three. And we've implemented that. And I think it's something that our team loves. And it's been very helpful. I don't know, it puts another touch point when you're not in the office together. So all of the things that we've learned have been super helpful. So we're very grateful to the collective community.
Yeah. And as we haven't done forums yet. We just joined Collective when, Gwen, in a couple of months ago?
Officially in January.
Okay. And we hadn't done the forums yet. We said, let's get through tax season first and make sure that we don't sink. But I think that she and I, that would likely be something that we would, that we need to get into. We've just kind of tried to take baby steps and make sure we're not putting the cart before the horse. Actually, the last 2 years have felt like that. Just don't run behind the cart.
Yeah. As much as y'all like community and being surrounded by others that are trying things, success, failure, sharing that with others, I think y'all would find a home there. And then especially some days you walk away, especially if I'm in the group, it's like, man, I can't believe he did that. I feel so much better about myself today. Right. But yeah, no, that's a good option for people that definitely need that.
And I can say one other thing. The team members that you have been super helpful. The advisors that you have been super helpful. If I've posted questions, in the chat, I can't remember the right term for it. It's not chat, but in the membership group
platform.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah.
If nobody answers it, somebody from your team jumps in and answers it. So that's been very helpful. And I've had some specific software questions. So it's been nice to have that support as well.
Yeah. It's kind of like, something that a little behind the curtain. Whenever a question comes in, we all see it and we all want to jump in and answer it, but we have to let others potentially answer that first. And so after an amount of time, then we kind of poke, hey, will you go answer this question, and elevate that team member to do that. So appreciate that feedback. Just know that we want to jump in and answer everything as quick as we can, but sometimes we have to let people grow by
I understand that
through
100%.
Yeah.
And we know that other firms in the community probably have even better answers, and we don't ever want someone to think only Dillon Business Advisors has the right answers, or only the Collective by DBA team has the right answers. I don't want to share the wrong answer, knowing good and well the majority of the firms in there could answer that question perfectly, and in 3 or 4 different ways that may align better with what you're trying to do. So we love that. We are so grateful to have you guys in the Collective community and to get to be part of your journey of firm ownership. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to share before we end our conversation today?
I can't
don't think
think of
so.
anything in particular. We're very grateful for you guys and for the community that you've created. It's very supportive and very, we wouldn't be where we are without it. So having that it means a lot. So we appreciate what you've done and put into it, and the ability
Well, and
to be
it's a
here
lot.
today.
It's a lot to put yourself out there and to say. I mean, I remember going to one of the conferences and Marcus said, I did this and then I did this and then I was here and then I was here, and you could see you're making yourself really vulnerable to do all of that, but people learn from that, and it's a big thing to do, and you have to be brave to do it, but there's somebody's always listening, and if you can hopefully listening to our story, someone won't necessarily, it's like, with the boat, don't wait so long to turn the boat around. If you trust yourself, if you feel like it's something that you can do, also don't jump too soon. Make sure you plan, and it helps to have somebody, it helps to have a community like you guys. And it also helps to have a partner that can support you, that you both want the same things, because that's I cannot imagine having done it on my own. I would not, no way, absolutely not. So
Well,
yeah,
it wouldn't be as fun to do it alone, right? And
no.
navigate change and uncertainty alone. So one, appreciate y'all. Appreciate your openness to share everything that you've done today. And then there's going to be a story on the other side of this. Somebody that's listened to this and that it's encouraged them to take a step out or take a step in that right direction. So the fact that your success can be somebody else's success, I thank you for that. So yeah, Rachel, why don't you go ahead and close it out?
Yeah, I want to share one thing with you
Yeah.
guys, just as we were talking even earlier in this conversation, but something that a couple people have told Marcus and I, that you attract who you are. And I think you guys are attracting who you are. You are successful and organized and driven and thoughtful and intentional and caring. And I think you attract that. So to see that you guys have built an incredible business, it's not surprising, because that's who you are. And we're just happy to be part of that story and to let you know it's not a miraculous thing that's happened. It's not a coincidence that you've just been really lucky to find, these people or these clients, but really it's a testament to who you guys are. So glad to be your friends, proud to be your friends. And thank you again for stepping out of your comfort zone and going on a podcast. Just because we asked, hey, would you be on the podcast? Thank you for agreeing to that. We really appreciate it.
Well,
Thank you.
thank
We
you so
appreciate
much
it
for
too.
having us.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you
Yep.
both.
We'll do it again next year.
All right.
Update.
All right. Well, that's perfect. And we will talk with you guys later.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed the conversation and want to learn more, be sure to visit collective.cpa. You can schedule a meeting directly with me, Rachel, by clicking on the Contact Us page. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share so you don't miss any future episodes. We look forward to connecting with you soon.